Hello, 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 fiber friends. Today we are going to card on my drum carder, which I haven't had for a while. I lent it to my friend and she's been scouring a ton of wool, and this was a great way for her to try it out and see if she wanted to get one for herself. But this one's going to be fun because this is from the Melly Knits Guts Club. So she has, if you don't follow Melly Knits on Instagram, she's amazing. And she sources, hand scours, washes and cards up beautiful, beautiful hand processed batts. But she opened up a fiber club called Sommelier, which is like Sommelier, except her name is Melly. So it's Sommelier, which I think is adorable. But she has the funniest and most fun Instagram ever. So if you're not following her and you're interested in fibery stuff, go follow her. But this is I bought her Guts Club. So this is the Firefly one. So it's her second club offering she did. And what you get is 100 grams, which is all of this here. 100 grams of washed fiber ready to be prepped, because I want to learn more about prep, but I have noticed for myself I'm not so great at the scouring yet, and I have a lot to learn on that side. So this gives me like a starting point that's a little bit ahead of scouring, so like I can get comfortable with what it should look and feel like afterwards, after it's clean, to help me so that when I'm scouring I know what to look for, because I've had a couple missteps that I could talk about forever, but I won't. So what do we have here? And again, it's a mystery club, so you don't know what you're going to get. So it lets me try a whole bunch of things. So we have 60% corriedale coopsworth from British Columbia, and that is this beautiful fiber. Let me see if I can pull out one section. She can show off locks way better than I can because I'm just not used to doing it. But yeah, it's like kind of all over the place, chaotic, but I love that. And yeah, it's like, what are words to even describe it? It's definitely crimpy. Like you can see almost a little bit of curliness there. And that's the 60%. So that's corriedale cross with coopsworth. And then 40% is this dark brown merino, which just looks amazing, feels amazing. Again, we don't do this with any sort of production level lighting or anything. And then 15% sari silk. And so she gave 3 colors, sort of this gold one, this green one, and this teal. Now, if you know me, you know I love teal. But also if you know me, you know I don't love mixing in the silk. Sari silk at least. But this should give it like a tweedy effect. And the whole point of Guts, which is this fiber club for me, is to try different things and see how it works. And I love the process. My friend Jackie keeps telling me I'm a process person, and she's absolutely right. So what I'm going to do, because my drum carder, this is a Brother drum carder standard, I find it works best with batts of around 50 grams, 50 to 60, not full 100 gram batts. So I've split everything in 2. So over here, that's just my duplicate. So I've actually got 20 grams of the merino, 40 grams of the corriedale coopsworth, and then half of 15, which is like 7.5 grams of the silk. So I've got half of everything. So I can make one batt. And then if I don't love the way it looks or the way it spins up or anything, I still have half tucked away there. And also, just for fun, I did buy 2 of each. So I actually have a whole second bag of all of this, so that if I want to combine it and make something, more like a pure skein of this, I can. And that was just something I chose to do. So the only thing I've done since I've received this, and this was the first batch I got, don't ask me when I got it because I'm never going to remember. But I've since received my second batch. So this is a couple months old, is I picked it. And picking is when you sort of open up the fibers. Once you get them, they've been washed, but you're getting rid of little dirty bits and things like that, and sort of opening it up and prepping it so that it's ready to card. So I have picked it. We'll see how well, because again, not so great at the processing. But this is what we're going to do. We're going to start carding it up. And I love it when people just get right to it. And now I notice this is already at 4 minutes. So I think I'm going to start, again, Never done this kind of blend before, never worked with Melly's guts. That sounds awesome, before. What I'm going to do is, just to start, I'm going to lay out a really thin layer of the coopsworth. And again, do not come in here and take my word as bond here, because I'm a relatively new drum carderer. That's a term, I'm sure of it. And I'm new to sort of using raw fleece. So I'm just going to go with the feel and say what I think as we go, and not really sure the best way to do it. So mine's a hand crank. I have found, as I've been, slowly carding a little bit of washed and processed fleece, is I want it to be like a really thin layer. As soon as I got this hand crank drum carder, which I love, I knew that having an electric one would be like so much more fun, because you can just keep putting the locks on and it will take care of the rest for you. But I do not mind the cranking. So far this is going pretty well. So I'm going to do a bit of this, and then I'm going to put on some of the merino, and I'm assuming that it's going to turn out to be sort of like a soft sandy color. And I've been trying really hard. I think I've done a good job making sure I don't get any spoilers in my feed, although like I could have seen it and not even realize, because I literally have no clue what this combination is going to lead to. But I'm like super excited to get to try it out. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of brushing just to see. Looking good. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put a little bit of the merino in. This is going to take a few passes and things. Don't worry, I do have my pause function. I know I don't edit videos, but I do have my pause function ready. So we can do a little bit and then come back. You don't have to watch the entire process. Although if you're like me, you're a person who does like the entire process. Okay. Let's get some of this merino on. So far I'm really impressed. My liquor has like nothing on it with the first couple bits, which means it's set up nicely and also it's feeding in nicely. I don't have it too heavy or too thin. Oh, that one in very smooth. This merino feels super soft. It's from Australia. And I love this color. If you know me, in addition to knowing I'm a teal and purple person, I am also much more interested in shades of brown and earthy shades than I am a gray person, which I know gray's been everywhere for like 15 years, 20 years, but it's not that big of a gray person. I prefer to actively avoid gray if I can. I'm also proud of this clean liquor because it means I did a good job of pulling out sort of sucking cuts when I was picking it in short bits. All right, so that's where we're at now. I'm probably going to pause it and I'm going to do a few more layers and then we'll come back and see where we're at. Okay, so we're back and I've done one full pass and I kind of alternated between the white locks, which were the corriedale coopsworth, and the merino, which were the dark brown. And I decided that I want to wait on the silk until after this is a little more blended. So the first thing I'm going to do is lift this up, see if I can do it. I don't have the exact right tool to do it, so I use this little screwdriver until I can get a doffer. If anyone hears a good deal on a doffer, let me know. This takes a little bit of effort. I find the amount of effort it takes to do this varies based on the staple length of the fiber and the amount of fiber that I've packed on the drum. So the longer the staple length, the kind of trickier it is because the higher up I need to pull it. But I'm going to run this through a second time. If you're wondering why my camera angle is so weird and not just showing the whole drum carder, it's because the carder needs to be on the edge of the table in order for me to crank it with the handle. But also, I've got a whole bunch of life going on over here. In the hockey season for my son, so there's hockey equipment splayed out everywhere. And it doesn't look pretty, and I don't want to distract from the beautiness of the wool. And that's why we're looking at it like this. Okay, so I'm almost there. The tines are sharp. Some people have, like Melly especially, and Dunspun, if you follow Dunspun, people like that just make this part look so easy. Maybe part of it is having the right tool, but also they're just well experienced. Okay, so I'm coming in the back here. Ooh, this is so floofy. Let me get actually one more tool, which is a trusty old straight knitting needle. You can just help me grab some. At this point, I'm going to pass it through again, so I don't need to get it like super clean, but I want to kind of pull off as much as I can. Pretty good. And again, it's not really blended together, so doing more passes will help it get blended. And then I think I'll attempt the sari silk. At that point, I have used some sari silk and some blends before. I just feel like so spoiled with this, with these guts, you know, processed by someone who I get so excited in everything she does. I'm like, whoo, I feel very fancy right now. Very fancy. That's probably not true at all. I'm probably not actually fancy, but you know, I feel it. Okay, so this just looks like a giant squishy, exactly what it was, which is a combination of some white locks and some darker locks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to strip pieces off like this. I'll do one on the camera here, so I'm just going to pull this piece off. And I'll do that with the other pieces as well, but this one's so much easier because then I'm just feeding each piece through. Like so, and we'll see if we can get it a little bit more blended. Oh, I do not have it clamped down. I feel like I'm having to pull a little bit too hard there. There's too much going in at once. Oh yeah, see a bunch of it is sticking on the liquor here. And that's just because I think I put too much on at once. It's not because they're actual small second cuts or anything. All right. I'm starting to just feel like I don't know what I'm doing at all. So if you're like an experienced carder and you're screaming into the video right now, like, what are you doing? Just put it in the comments so I can figure it out too. This makes sense to me though. The more I put it through like this, I just need to do smaller, I'd say smaller strips. But the more I combine it, the more it's going to turn into more consistent color. It already looks more consistent there. So I'm going to continue that with the rest of this. This is only 50 grams. Look how huge and poofy this is already. I'm going to do the rest of that. I'm going to do a couple passes and come back when I get to like a consistent color, and I'll be ready to mix in the silk. At that point, oops, I just knocked the camera. So stay tuned. I will be right back. Okay, I'm popping in to show you the second pass and what that looks like. It's definitely getting more blended. One thing I found is taking off smaller strips, but then also ripping them out sort of a staple length at a time and feeding them in works much better for not getting the liquor all filled up. All right, I'll come back when it's done-ish. I'm just popping on to say, once you strip it into pieces, 50 grams is so much fiber. It expands so much. This is like nothing short of, not a hard workout, nothing short of a workout though, to continue to do passes, and takes a lot longer than someone would think watching videos. That's all, just wanted to show you that. Okay, so now we are 3 passes through, and I feel like it's getting pretty uniform. It's still super fluffy, looks a little cobwebby, and it's funny because it's kind of turning almost a little gray, which is funny because at the start I'm like, I don't like gray, but it's a very earthy gray brown. And since I'm going to be putting silk in, so I know I'm going to do another pass, I think I'm ready to start adding the silk in. And I have no idea how to actually do this. But what I think is I'm just going to layer the colors in between some of the pieces of the batt. So first I'm just going to strip, get these out of the way. I'm going to strip these pieces, and I'm going to feed them in just as I have been. But I'll do 1 strip of these, and then I'll do some silk. And I've never done the sari silk, which is that sort of, it's recycled scrap silk. It's got like little silk threads and stuff in it. And it turns the yarn tweedy. So I've never done it on my drum carder. I've done it on my blending board before, and I really like how easy it is to sort of add this other dimension of interest. But let's see what happens when we put it in with some of our standard. That's standard. There's nothing standard about this beautiful wool. Let's see what happens when we put it with our pure wool is the word I was looking for. Now, when Melly does batts, like I've been watching her, and she has a YouTube where she talks about some things too. Highly recommend. I'll also fully acknowledge I just smacked that camera pretty hard. So sorry about that. Low production value, hopefully high quality content here. But yeah, in Melly's stories on Instagram, she goes through all sorts of things, but when she sells her hand processed batts, which are just amazing to spin, it's like spinning a spinner's dream. She has like glow batts that mix in like a nice soft tencel silk, or maybe a tussah silk or something. And she has chaos batts, which is where she puts the sari silk in. So this is going to become a chaos batt, I guess. And she's pure, and then she has crosses. So this is like a cross and a chaos, I guess, all together. All right, so I've got my pile. I can show you what I was doing. So I was breaking off basically kind of a staple length and then spreading it out. I don't like to get too close to the edges of my carder. So I'm going to break off another staple. I'm just going to grab that second, and then I'll have sort of the last 2 in my hands, and I'll put those in as we start feeding it. I've found that this has gone on smoothly and not filled the liquor with nonsense the way the first time when I was just trying to kind of feed it in directly it did. Okay. I feel like I'm going to do 2 of these strips. And again, I have no idea what I'm doing here. So if you're watching this and there's really obvious tips, go for it. Give me comments. Give me the tips. I just really love watching the process and seeing how things turn out. And there's a few people I've loved watching do this on YouTube, but not enough in my opinion. I want more. I want more people. I want more content from people. I want to share mine because then maybe it'll inspire people to share theirs. Okay, so we've got a good base of just a couple of these strips. Wonder how many strips I have total. Not sure. I'm going to start with a bit of the teal. Remember, I have 3 colors. I have this green, this gold, and this teal. I'm going to start with some of the teal because I love teal. Okay, so I've got it kind of like a staple length. Maybe I'll do it half. So something like this. I have no idea how this is going to go. I'm just going to I don't know if people normally feed it or if they paint it on. Oh, I don't know. Maybe we'll try it both ways. Here we go. Is anyone else nervous? Don't be nervous. Trust Melly. Trust the process. Okay, so I left a whole bunch of it on my liquor. I'm worried my liquor is not actually close enough to the drum. But I feel like this is probably normal anyways. I'm gonna brush it down a little bit. Okay, but maybe that's just short bits. So you can see the colors showing up there. I'm gonna do the second one. I'm gonna try the painting, mainly because I feel like I can kind of control the coverage a little better this way. Although then I'm getting like big globs in some spots. I'm not sure. We're gonna try a bit of painting on. See how that goes. I'm so scared. I'm not really scared, but I don't know how this is gonna go. I really don't. Okay, so I'm gonna do more. That was only like a tiny bit of this. And hopefully, I have to trust the process. I very much trust Melly and her sense of combinations and things, because she does this literally professionally, although she'll argue it's not professionally because sometimes the subject matter that gets chatted about teeters on the edge, and that's why I love it so much. And by the way, this is not like sponsored by her or anything. This is just me wanting to carve this up. Okay, so there's one more strip without any. Then I guess I'm just gonna like feed some more in. I feel like it was better fed in than painted on, but I can't really tell. So let's try feeding this in. Still a lot on the liquor there. Not sure what to think, but I won't know what to think until I actually spin this up. You know? Okay, I'm gonna play with this a little bit. Actually, I feel like this is a fun part, and I think I'm just gonna let you guys come along for the ride the whole time, even if it means some pointless banter and stuff. What'll be interesting also after is looking at how much VM, dirt, vegetable matter, if you will, for the technical term that doesn't sound very technical, how much there is underneath the carder, because I picked this pretty well and it didn't seem very dirty, but I always get shocked at how much little bits kind of fall out. There's no rhyme or reason to what I'm doing at this exact moment. I'm just like trying to put some more of this on. Part of me wonders about making some of it with the teal and then another small like mini bat with the green and another with the gold. But no, I need more silk in here, I think. I feel like I've got like a little, I have a little, not a cut, but just a little bit of something that's getting snagged. I feel like this layering is going pretty well. I'm going to do a little bit more. I'm going to paint a little bit on. This is where I start to feel really pro. I may not look it, but I feel a little pro when I do this. But there's definitely a lot of silk on that liquid. Another thing I guess I could have done was done different silk in different spots. I'm gonna do a little bit more wool. So easy to work with at this point. I wonder if there's like a limit on how many passes you can do before. Like, is there any such thing as too many passes? I'm gonna assume there's not. So you can see the color It's looking really bright down here where it's just the silk, but up here it's actually kind of a nice subtle little nod. Next I'm going to layer in some of the gold, I think, because I like that one too. And then if I still have a lot more to go, then I'll put in some green. Again, I try to keep kind of in the middle, not for any particular reason, but if it gets too close to the sides and get jammed up and then you have to open it and clean it in sort of that elastic section where these circles that I'm sure have names, it might be whorls, I don't know, where they're turning. Okay. All right, let's just trust the process. And we're going to start, oh, there's this tiny bit of teal left. Let's put a little bit of that just kind of on and in. I do feel like I get more value from the silk when it's painted, in the sense that half of it isn't just coming off on the liquor. So let's do a round of kind of painting here. It's so interesting because I think the cool part about this material is it's definitely recycled, right? They call it recycled sari silk. And so it's taking like little threads and different bits and giving them new life, which obviously is fun. All right, let's get a little bit more on here. This is gonna end up being a long one. But let me know also what you think if you want to keep seeing me do more of these Sommelier guts. So I have the Firefly bundle, which means it's a group of people who every other month just get this to show up in the mail, and it's different stuff every time. But yeah, if you want me to keep blending these, or what else you might want to see, I want to put more kind of regular content of, you know, this is what I've done and this is how it turned out, because to me that is just fascinating. Fascinating. The look of this liquor is scaring me. I feel like I'm more of a purist, if that's a thing. More of a, like, just give me the straight wool, or like a really subtle silk. Like I do really like a tussa silk in things to give it a little shine, but not a big amount of it. All right, I'm gonna try this one through the liquor. Oh yeah, most of that didn't even go in. But maybe that's good, I don't know. I'm gonna put a little bit through more like that, and then I'll paint some on as well. I'm a little bit scared to spin this. I know I just keep saying it, but whoops. It's definitely outside my normal, and I think that is the whole point of this, and getting to know some different sheep breeds too. Like I think I've only done a coopsworth once when I got a speed date from Melly. Speed date is when they take one breed of fleece, like one fleece. Mine was a rambouillet, and they do one pure little bump of it, and then they do a mix with all sorts of different stuff. So it was like rambouillet and coopsworth, I think was one, rambouillet and fin, rambouillet and corriedale. And it's just like a fun little way to try out a bunch of stuff. I still need to make something with that yarn. All right, so I'm at the point where I guess I'm gonna put in some of the green. I don't know how I'm feeling about the green. I just don't know. We're just gonna go with it. I'm gonna feed some in. Then I'll paint some on. Oh yeah, that was a big chunk. Is that okay? I don't know. There are no rules. Who knows what this is gonna look like when I pull them up. I feel like it looks like a hot mess, but again, I like structure and order, so this is trying to pull out some of my creative side here a little bit. Whichever side. Left side creative? I don't know. going to be fun to clean this after this, though, isn't it? We're almost done. I figure since you've been here for this whole last one, I'm not going to stop now. A little bit more. Paint on a little bit more silk. And then you'll have to be following. I'm not going to obviously spin it in this video too. This is already too much, probably lengthwise. But I'll try to show it. I always show stuff on my Instagram. And I'll try to remember to do like a roundup video after I spin it, so that even if you're not following there, you can see what happens with this great experiment. And again, I find it wild that this is only half of one of the guts sets. Like I still have a whole other batch of fiber that I can do, and if I love this, I could make another one just like it. If I don't, I could do some straight up stuff and save that silk for later. Which you can probably tell in my voice is what the me in me wants to do. Okay, this is starting to look like a crazy party here. Okay, that is now all of it. I'm gonna pull this batt off the drum. I'm not gonna make you watch me do that part, and we'll take a look. Okay, it's the moment we've all been waiting for. Dun dun dun, here's one side. Dun dun dun, here's the other side that has obviously quite a bit in that one section. But in general, you can see kind of, there's these layers. I almost want to open it up. There's layers inside. I think what makes the most sense for me is going to be one more pass. And I won't make you watch the one more pass. Ooh, look at this. This is like just a big clump. But I think what makes most sense for me is do one more pass just to kind of even out some of these areas. So even though this is the moment, ooh, look at this in the inside. Let's open this up. Even though this is the moment you've been waiting for, it is not the final moment. So I will, ooh, it looks like noodles. I will do the final moment in a moment. Be right back. Okay, so I did one more pass, and I believe this is the batt. Dun 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 dun! Check this out. It actually feels really nice. I am cautiously optimistic. The underside is still a little more chaotic. But like I like seeing all the grooves, like things are lined up nicely. They've definitely been run through. They ran through, I want to say 5 or 6 times total. It's possible I could do one more just to try to blend this in a little more. I'll think about that, but I feel like this is a good representation of the actual finished batt. So I'm going to set it there. And remember, this is only 50 grams out of the entire kit. So I'm going to put beside it what it started as. Let's see. So this, I'm going to set that there for aesthetics, because why not? And then the card, a reminder of what it is. 60 grams, so this is half here. So 30 grams corriedale coopsworth, 20 grams merino, which is the darker one there, and 7.5 grams of the sari silk. And these 3 colors mixed, just like this, has become this big, floofy, beautiful batt, which is pretty crazy. I'm gonna have to figure out how to best roll it up and store it, but I will spin this at some point and see what I think. I am laughing, and maybe you're gonna laugh with me or at me, at how gray the actual blend of the wool ended up being. So this is like note to self, if I don't want gray, I'm not gonna mix those two again. But I love it. It's floofy, and I think the last thing to do before I actually clean the drum carder is let's just take a look underneath and see how much vegetable matter we got. Wow. So just for context, that was clean before I started running this through, and all of that pile is stuff that's shaken out during the carding process. So the carding process will remove some VM, but also it didn't look that bad. Like, it still doesn't look that bad. This has been picked and everything, washed and picked, and I'd say overall I did a great job. I learned a ton, mostly about how long it takes to actually process a batt like this, because that probably took me, I've got a 35-minute video here, and this probably took me, I would say, 2 hours. I'm not sure for sure, but this is the end result, and I am pretty excited, although a little bit timid, of all this crazy chaos color. But that is exactly why we're experimenting. All right, hope you enjoyed this. Leave me a comment if you have any tips for me as I continue to learn and develop on my drum carding journey. I would really appreciate it, and let me know what kind of stuff you want to see from me as I continue on my spinning, knitting, crocheting, fleece prepping, I don't know what else journey. Bye everyone.